We're back to the continuation of the story from minutes ago. If you missed any, catch it on the Morning X podcast. This is the best of the Morning X with Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. 99X.
Do you want me to read the whole letter?
Well, no. Not
okay.
Because we know the setup. I have come to the end of my attempts to deal with you in a rational manner.
Right.
It is with full knowledge of the law that I'm telling you that if you do not make restitution, I will...
If you do not attempt to make restitution, I will attempt to kill Ted Turner. And if he is unreachable in his ivory tower, then I only need to kill one CNN employee, and it will be on your hands. Either way, you cannot ignore this letter. If you do nothing, you will eventually be sued by the family of the CNN victim for not taking action to prevent this. If you press charges, I will have my day in court. I do not make idle threats. I believe you know that by now. Let us let a federal court observe the conditions that have led us to this impasse.
Well, seems harmless enough.
Yeah, that's just a little piece.
No, but at the end, what had to happen here was I had to break the law in order to get into court, and at the same time give the reasoning in that letter as to what that letter was about.
And that's a pretty strong statement, a pretty strong paragraph. What happened after this? What have you been? You're sentenced now? Are you waiting?
No, we're waiting sentencing now. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they see that letter and then you find, and then toot sweet, you're in jail because that was one step over the line. Sweet Jesus.
Sure.
And so you go and what's the charge? It's what is the official charge?
Actually, what it was a threatening communication across state lines. It was not
as a federal.
Right. It was not a question of whether the letter was actually an intent to carry that out. It was just the mere act of sending a threatening communication.
Which carries what maximum in jail?
Right now, I have no idea. 2 to 3 years. I mean, the news have reported 22 months or 3 years. There's no way to know exactly at this point what that's going to happen. What's going to happen?
Sean, in retrospect, do you have any regrets?
Hold on. I'm being told to hang up the phone now.
All right, tell him 2 minutes.
No, I can't. This is the sergeant. Oh, bye.
Hello?
Oh, that's nice.
When the sergeant says you got to go, you got to go.
Okay,
he was calling us from jail, by the way.
Okay, 2 things. First of all, for the record, CNN won't talk about this with media. They won't talk about this story. Second of all, according to, and this letter will run in the Creative Loafing, I guess, next week, the jurors, when they heard this case, there were, I guess, 4 of the jurors who really couldn't make up their mind. They really didn't see him as a threat to the case or as a threat to society. They couldn't make up their mind. The judge, however, wanted to move the trial along, and I forgot what the term is, but basically he told them, that's it, decide right now. And he took, in other words, he took their decision, or he took the jury's decision without taking into consideration that they had not made up their minds yet. Those 4 jurors wrote Sean a letter that is going to run in the Creative Loafing, basically saying that they believe that he should not be in jail, that they believe that he definitely made a mistake, and that he should be in jail for what he has done, but that he should not be in jail any longer. Here's a guy who was driven to the brink. And I don't know his mental state. I don't know if he's...
Well, it doesn't sound too stable to me.
If you remember, this was how the interview with Sean ended.
Sean, in retrospect, do you have any regrets?
Hold on. I'm being told to hang up the phone now.
All right, tell him 2 minutes.
No, I can't. This is the sergeant. Oh, bye.
Hello? And then he was gone, just like that quickly. Now, what we didn't know, and what we hadn't been told beforehand, was that he had a limited amount of time. Like, he had a certain time parameter he could be on the phone, and then that was it. However, I received word yesterday that Sean hung up the phone and was taken directly to maximum security solitary confinement.
For what?
For what?
He
told the story. That's all he did.
Let's see. I'm going to read this letter that Stephanie Ramage, who was the Creative Loafing reporter who originally, put this story in the paper and has been in contact with him. These are some of the parts from this email. He was in maximum security solitary confinement where the guards took him when he was forced to get off the phone with 99X. They told him about someone complaining that he'd placed an obscene phone call. Well, the only problem is you can only make collect calls out of jail. It's kind of hard to make a collect obscene phone call, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to screw with you. You accept this call?
Accept a call from a pervert? Yes. Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, who reported that to who?
Well, that's the thing. They told him his phone access would be restricted, and they put him in solitary. So let's see. Now, let me jump ahead a little bit. And Stephanie spoke with the U.S. Attorney's Office, Patrick Crosby, and he verified that, in fact, Dix's First Amendment rights were violated there. Now, the U.S. Marshal, Norman Hilton, said that he personally was the guy who ordered the guards to make Sean hang up and put him in solitary confinement.
Did he say for what reason?
Hilton said, I'm going to give it to you right here. Hilton said some of the other marshals were listening to the radio interview when they heard Sean and realized that he was one of their federal inmates. Hilton immediately ordered the takedown, which probably wasn't very rough because the guards, according to Sean, are actually polite and professional. Hilton said that he did so because he believed that Sean had orchestrated a three-way call, which is prohibited. He said to accomplish such a call, Sean would have had to call one person, collect, and have that person patch him through to the station. Hilton was informed that that was not, in fact, the case, that Sean called 99X directly. He said he didn't realize you could place a collect call to a radio station.
Well, okay.
Okay.
Then he sort of bumbled around and said, quote, well, I had to do it for security reasons. We can't have people on the air talking about jail.
Well, he didn't say anything bad.
No.
He said he was treated well, actually.
Absolutely. The marshal was then told that if he had, in fact, been listening, it would have been perfectly obvious that Sean didn't say one word about jail. Right?
Except for the fact that it was actually...
Except that he was in jail.
He said it was fine. Like you said, the guards were nice.
Well, he told us that off air. Yeah, he told us that off air. But here's the marshal saying that he was talking about jail and that he was listening to the interview.
Sounds like the marshal's just spouting off without hearsay.
After the marshal was confronted with the obvious that, hey, look, if he was being treated, if he was talking about jail, I mean, he wasn't talking about jail. If you heard the interview, you'd know he wasn't talking about jail. His response was, well, we had to do it because interviews like that have to be approved by the U.S. Attorney's Office, and that one wasn't. So Stephanie called the U.S. Attorney's Office, spoke with U.S. Attorney Todd Alley, who actually is the guy who put Sean Dix in jail in the first place. But even Todd Alley said that, to his knowledge, his office does not have to clear such interviews.
So it sounds like he's digging.
So he was then
marshal.
Yeah, he was then referred back to Patrick Crosby, who is with the U.S. Attorney's Office. And the quote from Patrick Crosby, the U.S. Attorney's Office, is, there is no such policy that interferes with or conflicts with any inmate's First Amendment rights to talk to the media or anybody else for that matter. We do have to follow whatever telephone privileges or rules or time restrictions that any individual has. And I don't know if that was part of the problem with what happened, but inmates, of course, are free to communicate within the jail's rules with whomever they want. The marshal himself concurred with me. And, we bring this up because...
So what happens to him? Do they get him out of solitary?
Well, and I don't know now if he can sue. I don't know if now, because his rights were violated and he is out of solitary. The point is, God forbid any of us should ever be put in jail. And, when you're in jail, you don't know. You have to do what you're told, or you get a can of whoop-ass open on you. Or you get put in solitary. They kind of make up the rules as they go along, I guess.
And that's BS.
That's what happened yesterday
he gets screwed. It's nonstop.
He is definitely caught up in the system, but that's what happened yesterday after this.
Sean, in retrospect, do you have any regrets?
Hold on. I'm being told to hang up the phone now.
All right, tell him 2 minutes.
No, I can't. This is the sergeant. Oh, bye.
And then he went to solitary, and there he went to solitary confinement.
Ooh.
The best of the Morning X.
99X.